Attending today for our Design Review Board of October 19th. If we could first stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. First we have attendance.
So noted, sorry.
You're okay. And next we have public comment. Is there anybody here that's not one of the applicants or speaking already? Okay. Then next we have approval of the minutes. We've all had a chance to look them over. Unless there's any changes, I'd look for a motion.
I move to approve.
Motion by Clerk Brooke.
Support.
Support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That does pass. So now we'll go on to our new items. So we have signs first with 43119 Woodward Avenue, Dunkin' Donuts. Good to see you again.
So, yeah, I'll invite Kevin Dieters forward. In September, this application was tabled for further discussion with the Dunkin' Donuts corporate offices regarding the sign design for their ground sign facing and along Woodward Avenue. The applicant has worked with corporate and has actually come back with two options for you to consider. The first one located here, and that is a completely white back with the Dunkin' drive-through. Recalling back to the September meeting, the concern was that this little bump here was originally proposed as a black background, and so this preferred design by Dunkin' Donuts just changes that to white to match the rest of the sign face itself. There is the second option, which would keep the coffee cup design and again changing over to Dunkin' drive-through. And so the existing ground sign, as I mentioned, looks like this today, and they're rebranding and looking to change the face of this sign moving forward. And they do have also a wall sign on the property. I included the minutes in the packet. This is from September, and you can see the discussion that occurred then. And I included what was considered at the September meeting, and here is the black spot on the sign that the Design Review Board asked to possibly have another look at it from the corporate office. And so they did come back with the two options for you to consider, and I just threw this in here as this was originally approved in 2013 at this location. The current request does not change the actual structure. It's simply a face change. And so I will go back to the two options and ask if you have any questions.
And just to catch up, new members here today that ended up coming up, because if they cut off that, which would obviously be the better choice, then that's actually a new sign, sends them back to the beginning, so they can't change the structure.
Yeah.
I
So
figured
that
you'd
would
probably
be
be
the
wondering
cleanest.
why aren't they cutting it off?
That would be
Yeah.
the cleanest, simplest look, but I understand.
So we couldn't do that, and then the black stood out, and the white, so they were trying to give us options, and Kevin's been very good about that. Want to add anything?
Well, Wade summed it up pretty much perfectly, so I don't have much to add other than what he said. Dunkin' Donuts would prefer what's on the screen right here without the coffee cup, but we just wanted to give a couple of options just in case the board was looking for different options, so that if we had our choice and if Dunkin' had their choice, we would go with what's on the screen right here without the coffee cup.
And what was there, how would they explain the bump to people without because with the coffee cup, it's obvious, it's the.
Right, I mean.
Like, how would they explain the weird little bump?
I mean, I don't think they would need to explain it to anybody. Like, who would they have to explain it to? You know,
Nextdoor. It's a lovely app where all of our residents like to make comments.
Right. I mean, it's just that, you know, when years ago when Dunkin' Donuts had this sign put in, the coffee cup with the steam on top was part of their branding. Now it isn't.
Right.
legally, we're only allowed to do a face change without having to go back to the ZBA for a setback variance. So, I mean, believe me, I would love to
Lop it off.
charge them thousands of dollars for a new sign rather than just doing a face change. As a sign salesman, I'd love to do that, but in their best interest, that's just not practical for them or for the township. I mean, that's just a lot of time and money and effort with everyone involved just to change the sign just a little bit. I think we're just trying to circumvent that. That's all.
You guys have
I
any
do.
comments?
It's Kevin, right? Is that?
Yes, that's
yeah,
me.
Okay, hi. Welcome back.
All right.
So, any plans to change the wall sign too?
No, well, I'm sure they will at some point.
It's just the
The
branding.
reason we're changing the face is because it's sort of old and faded, and it just looks. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look. What's the word? Appetizing either. It doesn't get your attention. Doesn't look nice the way it is right now. So they're just saying, hey, we want to put in a new face that looks newer and sort of brighter, and I'm sure they'll change the wall sign at some point. But the way with these big corporations like Dunkin' Donuts, when they change their branding for financial reasons, they have to pay for all the signs up front. So they can't afford to do that at every Dunkin' Donuts store across the country all at once. So they'll pick like, okay, in January of this year, we're going to change them in Houston and Chicago and Dallas. And then next month, we're going to do Phoenix and Detroit and whatever. So I'm sure it'll change at some point. It's just Detroit hasn't come up in that cycle yet. Like it's not Detroit's turn yet. So the wall sign will change at some point, but I don't have any info on when
Yeah.
that's going to be.
Well, I got to say thank you for going back and working with them. It was not an easy request, I'm sure so you had to work really hard. And I, sadly to say, do prefer the alternative sign with the coffee cup with the steam, which gives
Okay.
a reason for the bump up. I don't know what Brian would. My gut would be that Brian would think the same thing, but I haven't talked to him
Knowing how
about it.
much he disliked the black and
He
the
did.
white stands out even more, I would guess that he would want the coffee cup.
Yeah,
Okay.
but-
Well, we're open to either options.
He's not here
That's
to
why
vote,
we gave
so.
two options. If we had our choice, we'd choose the other one, but that's up to the board.
Well, and as the new person on this, because I haven't been doing the history of it, but I was just at a Dunkin' in Boston. I think it looks kind of like What's the Bump? And I guess I prefer the look of the cup. Although from your perspective, if you're going to do the wall sign and get rid of the cup, it's sort of counterproductive for you. But I think the cup, and I like it that it's just on the white, that the other one had like the
Yeah.
rich orange. It kind of really jumped out at you. My initial feeling before the explanation was the cup.
Okay.
I'm happy to make a motion.
Sure.
You guys, are you ready?
Do you have any
So
more
I-
discussion?
No?
I move that we approve the alternative proposed sign with the coffee cup.
Support.
Motion by Clerk Brooks, support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. I do appreciate it because, like you
Great
said,
work.
it's not easy dealing with corporate and township. So
Thank
thank you for being the good
Appreciate it.
middleman.
All right.
I think it looks good, too. I like the coffee cup.
Thanks a lot.
All right. So next we have 2527 South Telegraph for body burn. Is that at your place? All right.
We do have a new tenant coming into this building at 2527 South Telegraph. You can see here the orientation of the building at the intersection of South Telegraph and Square Lake Road. You may remember the discussions with the SVS Vision several months ago at this property as well. The requested sign is here. The location of the, actually go back to this prior slide. The tenant location is in this area here. So they have 24 feet 6 inches in width by 16 feet 6 inches in height. So that gives us the calculation of what size of sign would be permissible on this facade. And the size of sign that is permissible is 23.42 square feet. And the body burn with the logo, that actually, once you draw the box around the entire sign, comes out to 75.88 square feet. I do want to also point out that The body burn sign individually does comply with the original maximum size permitted. So it is the logo that bumps them up quite a bit past the permitted square footage allowable. Body burn,
What's the allowable?
23.42 square feet.
So 23 is allowable, they're asking for 75.
Yeah. And the body burn sign itself does comply with that calculation of 23.42. They are also asking for a tenant panel sign on the ground mounted monument sign out front, and that is approximately 5 square feet as well. I've included the tenant space floor plan for you all to look at. There are 5 overall tenant spaces in this center. This on the corner right here is where the SVS Vision is approved and now open. So the body burn will be located on the other end, sort of in the middle. And you can see that the floor plan basically exists of workout machinery and a small office and bathroom area. And I've taken some pictures for you all to see. Down here is the SVS. The body burn will be located in this area here. And you can see the relation to the other signage on the building at this point. And then here's the existing ground sign, monument sign, which is also proposed for a tenant sign. So the application itself does need to proceed to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the secondary signage, because we have one on the monument ground sign and then one on the building. So it is a secondary signage request already. So they will have to proceed through that board as well, as if they move forward as such. So.
You said, I see it's 23.76 square feet allowed, but you said with the logo, it bumps them up.
Yeah, it all counts.
What again was that? How much?
75.8
Like 3 times the size.
square feet. Yes.
That's what I thought
because-
you said. I was just
Yeah.
double checking.
As we,
That's why I
we
asked too.
measure a box around the entire sign itself. So with the logo, there's a lot of this kind of empty space on both sides of it, but that, we're still counting that as one sign.
And is the front going to be redone, or which door would you, is it the one to the left or to the right?
The door would be right here.
Right, okay,
The sign being right there.
okay.
And that goes into some of the other questions too, but I figure, are you going to come up and speak on behalf, or is the applicant here? Okay. So if you want to announce yourself, because I figure you might want to speak before we ask questions.
Richie Atto, and the owner of the property, and with me today is Donna with Intercity Neon, who's going to actually build the sign.
Okay.
And then Kate, Shannon, and Nancy Giftis will be the operators. They currently have a facility in Grosse Pointe, but I told them we want you to come to Bloomfield.
All right.
So they're excited about opening up and getting back to the variance. So you're going to see me here again and again and again, because everybody that goes on the monument sign, because it's a secondary sign, will require a variance. And also, I think we're coming here again for a special land use approval due to the fact that there's a 5:30 a.m. class.
Oh, that'll be a different one. Today we will.
Right.
We're
I'm
just
just
talking
saying
about- We love
it'll
seeing
be-
you though.
Yeah. Absolutely. Of course. Being here. I'll be
Yeah.
here tonight at 7.
There you go.
And people like Andrea that get up early in the morning that want to work out at 5:30 so she can get to work on time.
Yep, but we'll talk about that, because now we got to talk about why you brought something at 3 times the size.
I thought the
So what kind of
architectural
discussions
feature
did
wouldn't
we
be considered part of the sign, but if it is,
Yeah, it
then we'll
definitely
have
is.
to discuss that.
So what kind of discussions have we with them about, it's obviously 3 times the size. So we don't usually, I mean, we have somebody here who's dealing with us being pretty picky on signs who would be shocked if we ever approved that too. But knowing it's got to come in lower, what kind of discussions have we had with them already so we can aim them in the right direction? Because I assume they're also going to, although they haven't asked, they're probably going to put on decals like a lot of people try and put on their door, because
No,
Trustee Murray's already pointed out that you won't know what door it is. So what's their real sign concept, the whole thing,
So
so we can take it all into account?
It was important to have the body burn sign as large as possible so it could be seen. And that's why because of the positioning of the building, that's why we have to have a monument sign.
Yeah.
The logo was added on because that is the logo, just to see if it would be amenable, not realizing that you have to encompass the whole entire logo and sign as one rectangular, because we wouldn't consider it that many square footage if we would have known that it couldn't be figured separately.
Okay.
So separately, it's a very small increase in the maximum square footage.
So maybe you've already considered this, but since we talked about which door is it, would you consider moving the logo
That's what I was thinking.
after body burn? And then it would touch over the door, and then it would really reduce your square footage.
It would make, well,
It would turn you into a rectangle. You wouldn't have to reduce the size of body burn, but you'd put the logo at the end of the N.
I suppose that we'd be amenable to that if we didn't have to reduce
Yeah.
because otherwise the letters wouldn't be legible.
Right.
I
no,
was
that would-
going to say, the logo's going to be huge still, so it's still going to be bigger than what you might be thinking? Because he's just mentioned too, they're not going to make the logo smaller.
So it
it's
appears
still
that
gonna be
the
big.
the
but what
letter
would that do
height,
to the square footage?
the 19.75-inch letter height, so that means the logo would, in theory, be 19.75, same height as the letters? Is that,
Would that
Well,
fall
or if-
within their normal?
How does that fit with the square footage? If the logo was bigger, you'd have a little bigger box. I can get out my calculator and
So
figure the square footage.
that's a Donna question, if she could,
Wade will help
I
us out.
mean, yeah, the body burn sign itself is right at the maximum.
So
So if you
anything,
added that to the end of this, you would be exceeding, your box would just grow bigger as a rectangle instead of a square.
But it wouldn't be 3 times as much. Might be
right.
more
Right.
within a consideration.
Yeah, right now, is it really 3 feet by 6 feet?
yeah,
Yes.
So that's it's huge.
it's huge.
I mean, maybe just to eliminate the logo and maximize the verbiage. I mean, the wall
Or-
sign does
they
not have the
going-
logo proposed to be on that, so.
Are they going to be putting a Wayfinder sign on the door? Because that could be the logo.
I think the thought for the door was it's a glass, mostly glass, so just like vinyl
So-
letters maybe that have hours. And if we could incorporate the logo on the door without violating any rules, that would be another option.
So ours is normally what we do, but we've noticed, and unfortunately, a lot of people have been brought back into compliance, that people will come with a sign idea, and then they add a whole lot more signs. So what is their true signage idea? Is that logo going to appear anywhere else, or was it just the
Well, for
hours?
sure, the logo is going to appear inside.
No, on the outside
On
signage.
the
Yeah.
outside, the thought was obviously the monument sign that we saw, and this sign, with or without the logo. If it's prohibitive because of the percentage of overage, then we would have to consider either putting it alongside of it and shrinking the font size, or just do without the logo and rely on the logo that's inside the building.
I guess I would find it most interesting to consider putting the logo at the end, maybe reduce the size so that it all fits, leave your body burn the same
It shows you where
height,
the door is.
and then it kind of leads you to the right door. Because when I looked at this, I was kind of like, are you redoing the front, or which door is body burned? And that would take you over the top of the door, still have your logo, might be more reasonable that it would be a small variance.
Before, I have another question too, just to be clear about the finder sort of signs on the door. We allow, I understand that there can be a name on the door. I mean, they
Yeah,
can
but not
put body
logos and stuff.
burn.
Yes, yes.
And address and so forth.
Reasonably
or hours.
addressing,
Yeah, we have
For
people
information
putting
only.
on a lot more than that.
Right, right.
lately,
Oh, I
which is
know.
why
We were
we had
working
to
on-
go through township-wide.
Cleaning those up. It was out of control. They were
Yeah.
putting in all the windows and.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and they wouldn't need to come back for that.
No.
That's something they can do.
it's called directional signage,
Yeah.
and that's how we address it.
So without doing this on an actual computer, I'm just looking at if the 3-foot high logo would be cut in half to 18 inches high, which is, I'm just trying to compare it to the existing 19.75 inch letters, then the assumption would be that the length would also be cut in half. So you'd probably be adding, somewhere between 4 and 5 square feet. So if the maximum allowable signage is 23.42, we'll just round it off to 23.5 for discussion. It might be something like 28.5, so it might,
Well, it does go all the way, because you're not putting it next to it, you do have to go all that empty space on the right and the left too. You don't just add those, you do the box.
right, but the box would be one continuous
Go
rectangle.
all the way to the end, correct?
Right, all the way to
I
the
thought
end.
you were saying you were just adding the top and then your logo, and that's not the way it's figured out. It's,
No,
the
it'll
box
be
goes all the way.
encompassing the whole word spelled out body burn with
then
the
going all the way
logo
down.
next to it, but it would be shrunk so that the height would be the same. I'm
So
thinking.
I have to, well, he's
do you
thinking,
agree that it would only go 5 if you're still doing the full box, which we have to do? It seems like it wouldn't drop all the way to 28 from 75.
can I have a suggestion? I mean, because right now, the body burn language is compliant, and that's
Right.
great.
Right.
We're also here to consider a monument sign, which is one variance already. I mean, my preference would be eliminate the logo, keep the sign on the wall in compliance, and we have only one variance we're dealing with, which is the wall, which is the monument sign.
Right.
We've already allowed SVS to have a monument sign. It exists, there's this established purpose for that. Personally, I'd rather not, give a variance for the wall sign and a variance for the ground sign, but that's me. I mean, so my proposal, if I were to make a motion, would be we'd approve the body burn language as presented minus the logo, and the monument sign, and forward it to the ZBA for consideration of the variance. That's my thought,
So before you move on that, I just have a question. If in fact the
No,
body burn text was shrunk so that the body burn with the logo on the side did not exceed the 23.4, and I'm not saying we want to do that, we have to see it. Would that be, if you made that
That
motion?
would be fine with me as far as, that would be
Still fit
consistent.
within the spirit of your motion?
It would be.
But we wouldn't be, so you want us to table it so that they could bring, we don't approve signs that we don't see in front of us. That's why Kevin had to come back with the new version. So we could table this, so you could talk to them, figure some things out, and come back. But we would only be looking at today's sign in front of us. We wouldn't be
Okay.
conceptually voting on
I
that.
would say to keep things moving and so that we can apply for the variance, is if we approve the body burn sign without the logo and the size that it shows, which is 14.275 by 1975, and the monument sign, and then,
But not come back again for, once we're done, we'd be done with the signs.
well.
We wouldn't approve it and then you come back, which is why we would table it, so you'd come back. Because if you came back, there would be a no, because we already agreed to it.
I
So
see.
that's what I'm saying. Do you want to table it, talk to them, figure it out, and come back? Or do you, because that's the.
Well, it sounds to me like it's not going to be approved if it exceeds the square footage because we're already getting a second variance for the monument.
Would be my position.
So it boils down to, is the logo important enough to have a smaller text sign that may or may not be as legible? So I don't know if we want to have that discussion at a later
Once-
date.
It seems unlikely. I mean, the size of the words are pretty important, because it is far off, set off the road. I can see why the size of the words are key. But that's your call. If you want to table it, I'm happy to entertain that.
Because we do sometimes go outside the overall variance, like I think we did
We
for
can.
SVS.
We have.
It's just
We did.
way outside for this one. It's, I
And it-
think SVS is bigger on the wall.
Yeah,
than it
SVS
should.
has 3 signs, which,
No, we turned down the one on this
didn't
side.
they do one on each
They
side?
asked for it, we said no to that.
say no to that
Didn't we
ultimately?
say no to the one on the right? Yeah,
Yep, wall signs,
They have
SBS
two.
wall signs.
They have
they only have 2, not 3.
And the
Yeah, we
monument?
said no to the right.
They have 2 wall signs,
signs
1
and-
ground sign.
Oh, that's
right,
right, you
so they
guys said
did.
yes, I said no.
Well, yeah, we went around and around on that.
Yeah,
They
I
came
said
back
no
a
to
couple
that.
times, and I think they justified a good business reason that was unique from other situations
I didn't think
to
so.
justify that. And I think there's less of a reason to justify a variance here.
Ironically, I think
So I'm
there's
getting more conservative, you're getting more liberal.
Well, because having 3 signs is a lot better than the
Yeah.
tiniest one on the thing. So I thought that was a little overwhelming
Yeah.
versus to give them everything and give them nothing seems strange.
Well, they're getting a ground sign and they're getting
Everybody
a variance.
gets the ground sign going forward.
Well,
I mean, you
that's
can't
true.
have a monument there and not fill up the monument. So
We could
by
say,
us
"Welcome to
approving
Bloomfield
SBS,
Township."
We pretty much pre-approved everybody else.
well,
I have a question, is-
they're on a corner there, which is different because of the way that
But you-
Square Lake
You
and
guys
Telegraph
gave
were
them the
connecting.
other one though.
We did, but they're in the corner spot because of the way those two roads connect. So, and this one is not.
Right,
So they're
SBS is
different
on the corner.
situations.
Which is different
Right.
than the monument sign. That's why you gave them the second sign on
Yeah,
the
so
other
we'll go.
side.
I mean, I'm certainly going to support the monument sign. We already. did
Yeah,
that
we
one,
already
so.
set the precedent for that.
It's still a variance. I mean,
The
Are
consensus
you
is,
married to the colors there? Because the reddish, the brownish red jumps out, but the kind of gray, if you really are worried about, you want people to see and read it, it's more faint, considering I know that corner, it's fairly far from the road.
Well,
I'm
and I
not
wanna-
sure, are those like corporate colors that we're adhering to?
Colors are black, gray, the red
Yeah.
and white, so I mean, you can change it to black, the body part.
I'm just thinking for your
Stands out.
visibility, it would just stand out more.
So one thing too, I wouldn't assume that you would automatically not be okay if you came back with something a little more reasonable. Because like you just pointed out, somebody who is stricter on one and not as strict on other completely flipped because of a situation. But I personally wouldn't be as against Val's idea of go a little bit bigger across to do that. Like when you're talking about a 23 square foot and you're asking for like 28, that is not a hard sell compared to I want 23 or I can get 23, can I have 75? So I wouldn't, I don't want you to assume that it would be an automatic no if you came back with another option. Just like Kevin came back with another option, he got a yeah. So I wouldn't want you to settle if you think you can come up with something else.
Well, the consensus that I'm hearing from the owners of the body burn operation is that they don't really want to shrink the text of the letters, but if we could propose the logo being alongside of it without shrinking the letters, if you think that's something that's could be considered, then.
I think that would tie into your door, personally, aesthetically. I'm not always on this board, I'm just going to warn you, but that's
Maybe
what
before you
appeals to
finish your
me.
next case, we could have a drawing ready for you.
How, just
know.
out of estimate, if it was at the same size and the logo next to it, do we have an idea of an estimate of what square footage?
I think the sign contractor's here, maybe she'd be able to help out.
Yeah.
and we could perhaps approve a sign.
It would be half of the length, so you're at about 4 feet
Not below it, next to it.
right next to it. So even if you added 5
So-
foot, because you put a space between.
So it's not,
and
4 feet. I thought it was 3 feet high.
It's 3 feet high and 6 feet 7 inches wide,
If
so
you
you'd be
took the
talking about 18 inches
19.75 times,
by
say,
3.
20, just
by 3,
as
3
an
feet.
example, it would be, we could do that math real quick.
Well, 3 feet times 1.5 would be 4.5 feet. So you'd go from your 23.76 to, 28 and a quarter?
Yeah, which is, I think I said something in the
Right,
neighborhood of 28.
that was your estimate.
Yeah, and I don't think that's as huge of an ask as 75. So I
Definitely.
can't guarantee you would get 3 S's that
Try
day.
asking
but I
somebody for
can-
$75 or $28, they'd probably give you 28 before they'd give you 75, right?
I can
So-
definitely tell you that if you expected to pay me $23 for something, I said you owe me 75, you'd question it. But I can't guarantee you get 3 yeses, but you wouldn't necessarily get 3 nos, is all I'm telling you.
I think
I can never guarantee anyone else's voices, but I'm not saying that that's overwhelmingly out of an ask,
Does-
considering somebody else got double signage.
Yeah, they did. Can we entertain a motion that says logo to the right, not exceeding total amount of 28 square feet?
If you're not going to look at the sign, then I would like in that motion that it is administratively at least viewed by the supervisor, because I don't trust sometimes the signs that come back. They look a little different than what we thought we were getting.
We will just bring it back then. you know, we
We'll
don't
bring it
want to
back
be able to
together.
assume that responsibility. We will always bring the design back.
Okay,
Be
we'll
happy to
we'll
do
just
that.
table it then. Okay.
Be happy to do that.
It's just a matter of timing because they're trying to open,
Oh.
beginning of the year, so.
But the next one is 2 weeks from now. Do you think you could have it for the next meeting in 2 weeks?
I'm sure we could, but you might have other items on the agenda, I don't know.
For design review board?
No, we don't have that many signage issues.
No, it's-
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the question is.
So
The
for
next
him to
meeting.
come back, he could be on our next DRB in 2 weeks.
DRB, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
November 2nd.
Oh, but
If
then
you're
you got-
worried about our agenda, there's not usually a lot.
But does that push us past the next ZBA?
The ZBA is going to be the same regardless at this point.
Yeah, because it's already pretty booked out. You have time to do this before ZBA because ZBA is so far booked out.
Yeah.
We are not far booked out because there aren't many sign requests.
I mean, one option, as I just said to the applicant, is if they decided that they want their ground sign to be their primary sign by right, they could at least get a presence on the ground sign as their one permitted sign, and then working through the details of ZBA for the wall sign.
Where the wall sign's
So
a
at least they'd
variance.
have an option, yeah, so at least they'd have an option to get a presence on that ground sign without ZBA, because really if that's their permitted primary, we'd allow it.
The only risk is what if people here, the ZBA says, well, you can't have a second sign. Now they don't have one on the wall.
Yeah, that's,
That's the only risk, because you never know who's sitting in the seats. That's the risk.
True.
But it's a great idea.
we table it?
I think since you have time with ZBA, I would suggest that you table it and bring back another option
Okay.
with it next to it.
Yeah, I personally think it would look nice to have the
Yeah.
logo at the end.
It would make more sense for the door.
Keep the
too.
logo, it would go over the door. I would be in favor of that. But I'm not sure I'll be here on the next meeting.
He's one of Brian's friends.
Okay.
What do you think?
What's your decision?
Do you want us to table
I
it, or
think
do you want us to take a vote?
we'd like to come back with
Okay.
another sign with the logo to the right without changing the size of the words body burn and without increasing the height. And take a shot at that, and then I guess it's still subject to the ZBA's approval, right? Because
Right.
they're going to be,
But typically, a unified front from us helps in the ZBA. That's why I'm saying it. You have time for ZBA, and if it is something that we can all work on and get forward, it would look better at that meeting.
should we apply for the ZBA just to get on the docket?
We'll talk, let's talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we can talk, we can at least get something in the door to get you on the December agenda with the understanding that you still need to finalize your plans.
Yeah.
We can work with you.
And you'd
We'll
have,
finalize the plans quite quickly.
yeah. Okay. Then do I have a motion to table?
I move we table the body burn sign to the next meeting.
Motion by Clerk Brooks,
Support?
support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And we get to see
Thank
you
you.
again in 2 weeks then.
And tonight, if you come to the planning.
And thank you, and thank you for coming to our township. We're glad you guys are coming. It'll be great.
Yeah, when is your anticipated open? Well, be sure and invite us to the groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
We're gonna go take a Pilates class.
I was gonna say, is
Oh.
it Pilates? Is it yoga? Is it?
Megaformer Pilates.
Cool.
Free staff. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thanks for coming. All right. So next we
See you guys
have
soon.
Glens of Bloomfield is here again. And we have 7480 Bingham Road for Glens of Bloomfield.
So I will invite Stephanie
was here
up
for them
as
before.
we walk through these plans for the overall sign
This one I'm
comprehensive
familiar
plan
with.
for this property. There is a map here in your packet that might be helpful as we go along to follow.
Did you have that map in yours?
First page of it.
It's right after the plat map, sort of like plat map.
Okay.
Let's see the, yeah, keep on going.
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry. It's too many. Here we go. After this one, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay.
So we will start with the first sign at the corner of South Telegraph Road and West 14 Mile Road. This is the location of the temporary sign that the board approved earlier this spring. And the request, you can see here the before temporary sign, the proposed monument ground sign in this configuration. It is going to be a two-sided monument sign. Based on comments the applicant heard from the board, they have reddened the brick from their original proposal to match the large sign and the brick on the
Perimeter wall.
thank you, perimeter wall up at, is that Franklin?
Telegraph, and then
Telegraph,
it does continue on to 14 as well.
Yeah.
Okay. There are plans in your packet also that will show you the proposed lighting. It's towards the end of the packet, as well as landscaping. Again, I want to mention that this will now be a two-sided sign. Originally, when it came before you, it was just a one-sided sign. So they have incorporated both sides and a 360 landscape plan around the monument sign itself. And this is the sign, but just provides you the dimensions of the sign. So it's 60 by 120, 18 inches in width, looking at it at the profile stage. And would you like me to continue on with all of the signs, or would you like to ask any questions on each sign as we go through? How would you?
Maybe let's do each, because I only have,
Okay.
I have two questions about that one. You
Okay.
did a great job. You really did. You,
I wish
you
I
had
could
a
take
lot
credit
coming
for
at
it,
you. You had a lot coming at you. My only question was, so with solar, I also have those in my yard, and they don't work 3 months out of the year when we don't get any sun. Will you have any auxiliary lighting or anything set up to help light it up in winter?
So there are battery options with them too that we
Okay.
can utilize. So they were a recommendation from the sign manufacturer.
Okay.
The existing lighting that's there for that temporary sign has been a little problematic. They keep falling, and the bulbs for that specific model, they don't make them in a brighter, kind of more modern white light that we wanted to. It's very yellow looking, so we thought we'd go with the recommendation of the solar lights.
And they do, and then the batteries help out in winter.
Yes.
Perfect. And then this is gonna be embarrassing, but I'm not sure, are boxwoods evergreen? Those stay, oh yeah, perfect. That was my only other question. I've never used boxwoods, I'm so used to arborvitae being our ZBA thing, I'm like, oh. Because landscape would look pretty, I just want to make sure it was.
Yeah, I had to ask on the
Yeah.
species myself.
Evergreen.
Perfect,
Yeah, boxwoods are evergreen.
Very nice.
perfect. All right, that was my only questions on that. Does anyone else have questions on that sign?
No.
No? Okay.
So we will move on to position number 2 on your map, and that is at Deep Run Road and 14 Mile. And you can, in this picture, see the existing condition, but through the discussions, the applicant has found that bringing some attention to this intersection to help internally as well as externally notify where you're located. This is essentially a same sign as the one we just looked at. And again, this one's 90 by 45, so a little bit smaller, but the same face and color scheme as prior.
That is one giant man standing next to you. He's a little taller than your average, I think.
Yeah.
He's on the piston, so.
Any questions about this one?
The landscaping and lighting package would mirror the same as the one on 14 as well.
And moving on to position 3, there's an existing sort of pole sign here. It says Glenn's Office, and the proposal is to utilize a leasing office sign with an arrow and the logo on it. And it is also two-sided sign. And it is overall 60 inches tall and 48 inches wide, not including the posts.
I just have one question on that. Again, I'm not always sitting here.
Sure.
Strikes me as tall, that it's bigger than maybe it would need to be just to point an arrow to the leasing office, just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I believe it's similar to the existing height of the existing sign there.
Okay.
It's quite hilly in that area. There's the retaining wall, I believe, and then the sidewalk path that runs along 14. So the height is really to stand out. We wanted it to match the black background with the silver kind of metallic font. So it would be directional but tied into our signage for the monuments.
Okay, thank you.
I do like that you've made them all two-sided. That helps a lot, because when I'm in an area I don't know, I'm like, oh, I know there's a sign there, I just don't know what it says. It's very helpful for both ways.
Yeah,
I think it's a
we,
really good idea.
I think
We
it
have-
looks better.
Yeah, we have 3 entrances to the property, neither of which lead to the leasing office.
Right.
So part of our challenge is tying the two, being that our leasing office is a converted white brick ranch home into a business. So trying to direct people the right way, especially when the tendency is to turn right. Even though we don't have that monument sign there now, it's very obvious and a community entrance. So the tendency is for everybody to turn into there. So our challenge is to direct them to Bingham, where the office entrance is.
Okay, moving to position 4. We have the existing sort of sidearm sign with the free swinging sign in this position here. The proposal is to actually fix the sign to the existing structure that's there, so it removes the swinging action in the wind, and therefore lessens maintenance concerns and that sign being beat up over the years by the wind and so forth. So it is two-sided, and there is the dimensions. Again, the structure will remain the same. It's just the sign face itself with the arrows, depending on which direction you're coming from, to provide direction to the clubhouse and leasing office, as Stephanie mentioned, which is a residential home and appears as such. So people need that assistance knowing where to turn and where to go.
I must note that it's the same guy in each picture, not only in
He
this, but
changes
in,
height in every photo.
he does. He does.
He's very
He's in
tiny
like
here.
almost every photo, every presentation of a sign. He's a very busy model. He's everywhere.
He's been 4 feet tall, he's been 7 feet tall.
He's in all the sign presentations.
Same outfit.
Same outfit too.
Position
Never do
5.
these pictures in the winter either. Sorry. But go ahead, please.
Okay. Position 5 is shown behind the actual leasing office and clubhouse. You can see the residential structure nature of the facility. This sign is proposed as a repurpose of the temporary sign that was originally located at Telegraph and 14 Mile. And this proposed to become a permanent sign so that there is a long driveway. As you see the view from Bingham Road here, there's a long driveway. The house is right back in here. So the applicant really is seeking this sign to further identify the exact location of the leasing office itself.
And how
Only
big is
difference here
that?
is you added the hours, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That is 72 by
72.
40.
72 by
72?
72 by 72, yep.
Okay.
And he got shorter here. I do like, I was here when you brought in the lighter brick signs.
Yeah.
And I found that a distraction. So I'm really happy to be here today and see that I like the redder brick. I think it'll look much nicer.
Thank you, yeah, ownership and regional management team kind of concurred with that idea. Originally, they wanted to do the faux stone look, and then
6 foot by 6 foot.
agreed.
A new fresh
ultimately.
look, but it just sort of didn't,
Yep.
it didn't flow.
So that one's 6 feet by 6 feet?
Yes.
Is
72 by
that
72.
drawn to scale? Is that not, that doesn't seem small in this photo?
Part of it
for
is
6
buried. So I think it says on part of the posts, which are 72 feet, are buried for mounting, I think.
I think, 'cause that's
So it's
even
not as
taller
tall.
than your other signs are only at 5 feet. So this
Right.
one would be much tall, would be taller.
This one is pretty huge.
We were hoping to have the corner of 14 and Bingham approved as a directional sign, and similar to the one that would be closer to Bingham in front of the office that you can see if you're traveling southbound on Bingham from the one entrance. So this one really would be the only identifier as the Glens of Bloomfield, since the others are purely directional.
And is that why this one's bright white instead of the more calm, nice?
That, and that
Oh.
the brick is painted white on the actual building, so we felt like it,
Matches the
Flowed.
architecture better.
yes.
It is pretty big, though.
Well, and that's the thing, you can't really compare, because it's obviously, he didn't just shrink to 5 feet tall,
Yeah.
so it's now showing him smaller than the sign, so I can't trust that image, and that's why I'm like, are we sure it doesn't cover up more of this 6 feet by 6 feet area? Like, normally these are actually kept the same size, so you can compare what the guy looks like.
Right.
That's kind of why we're making jokes. So since I can't use him as a comparison,
So the width is.
Is
They're
it-
shorter.
The width
is that
seven-
really only 6 feet in between there, and it's not going to cover up like a whole bunch of the house? So on another one, he was shown at 6.5 feet tall.
Right.
Now he's being shown just under 6 feet. So I can't use the man anymore. So since I
the-
can't use him, I'm trying to use the house on how big this will look.
That,
Whereas that doesn't look like 6 feet across, but it might be. That's what I'm saying. Is this
yeah, that is
truly
6
where it would
feet
be?
across.
Scale.
That is.
This
6
is
feet
to scale,
across.
even though none of these are to scale.
And
This
then-
particular picture is to scale. Meaning,
The sign itself is to scale, but it's just, it's photoshopped in front of the picture of the building, so I don't know how accurate it is.
so that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. This one, yes, you've written these numbers, but everything around it has been shrunken to make it look different. So when I'm looking at this sign, when it's installed, will it actually only cover that amount? Or is it actually bigger and it's gonna cover like this amount? That's how I'll know if it looks too big.
Sure.
It's going to look more like a billboard than a sign.
Yeah, will it look like this, which matches and looks nice, or is it going to like now cut out and it looks like, whoa, Glenn's?
Right.
Well, and when you
the-
said that the posts would be buried deeper,
Yeah.
in this picture, they're really not buried deeper than in the other drawing.
That's why I wasn't sure what's going on.
So it's not like the other drawing had a lot more post exposed and you lowered it.
Right.
It looks about the same. So it's hard to tell. This is
Might
very
say if you
large.
scroll down on the
in the
other
numbers.
version of it.
It's hard to tell.
Because if you look at this picture with the guy who now is 5.5 feet when he was 6.5 feet tall,
I can't tell you.
it still looks really big, and yet in the other drawings, he was 6.5 feet tall, and here's only
Right.
5.5 feet tall, so it's very kind of confusing.
Yeah, and that, of course, is an existing sign, so it might be helpful if we took an actual picture of the sign in front of the building.
So,
As is.
so the existing, so that is in there. So how tall is that existing sign? Is that 6
It's
feet
not
tall?
in place now.
No, but the one that is there, there's something there, right? Because you can kind of see the hint of something.
Oh, there's a lamppost there.
Oh,
So how high is that lamp post?
I'd have to measure to
'Cause
be
that would
certain.
give us an idea. I guess just not.
oh, and the
wanting it to
lamppost
look
is
like
still there. It's in front of it.
Yeah,
But it looks like it's further back, so that
but
perspective.
at least it would be shorter than the lamp post, so that gives you an idea of how high it would look. If that's truly where
If
it's
it's
gonna go,
taken
though.
straight on.
That's the hard part.
When you Photoshop, you don't have that perspective.
Yeah.
Or that scale. And
Yeah.
they're trying to do the best they can to kind of give you
Right.
that imagery. At best, as suggested by, would be to literally install it and then take a picture And so they would be more authentic location. And then for your review, if you have that concern.
Well,
Well,
because
it is really far from the road.
the lamppost, right, and that's a
That's
help.
the
but-
one reason why I'm like 6 feet might be appropriate, because it's so far from the road.
But the lamppost is taller than the overhang of the house in this angle, and I
Yeah.
doubt that the lamppost is taller than the house. So the whole thing is sort of not skewed right.
But I
It's
guess-
just very hard to
It's
interpret.
way back there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess if we made them go smaller, though, when I look at this bottom picture, it is really
Who would
far
know?
back.
Yeah.
Right, it is far from the road, so it's
Prime
not
land
like,
for more apartments.
Yeah, yeah, you can build more apartments.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of space on
There's
the
a
north
lot of
side,
space
between Bingham and Lincoln, for
You guys
sure.
have a great
That
property
is a
there.
good point to make, is that the only people who will be viewing this are going to be the residents.
Yeah,
That are going
So
to-
it's not
so
like
the
this
general-
one's the one out
General
on-
public will not be seeing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's not, no, otherwise if it was, to be honest, in the more public area, I'd want you to change it to the color and everything.
Sure, yeah.
But since you already have the sign and you're trying to repurpose it,
Yeah.
I get it, and it's not in truly the public area.
yeah, I think the whole skew is just
Okay
off
with
here,
it.
because I don't think that light post is as tall as the roof line.
No, it seems
Just
like it's a little
back.
bit
Yeah.
angled that way, but.
All right, I'll stop asking questions on that one. Okay, what's next?
And here we have positions A through F on your map. These are directional signage.
It says 6. Position 6.
Yeah, but they're located, they're the actual letters, not the numbers on your map.
So 6 is position which number?
So these signs are,
A through
So there's-
A through E.
They meant A
Six.
through D on this one, so there'd be 4 A through D that have up arrows, and you match them to 1, 2, so it'd be A, B, C, and D,
A through E up.
and then
A
E.
and F are right arrows.
I think they meant A through D are all up.
Got it.
yeah, these are meant to be internal community signs along
Yep.
Deep Run to direct back to the office as people get lost.
And I see up arrow, up
the
arrow, up arrow.
There you go.
Got it.
Yeah, so those 4 would be the up, and then these are the ones that go that way.
Thank you. And there's like, oh, he's a little taller there.
Telling you.
Okay, so
He's got like quadruplets going on here.
And
Okay.
finally, we added the existing sign, which is not changing, but you can compare the existing brick
Yeah.
wall with the brick of the monument signs as being proposed.
And the landscape looks really nice. It looks really pretty.
And here are the landscape plans, spring and summer, for the 2 monument signs. And then we have a fall-winter plan, and then just the lighting information was included.
And those are the boxwoods in the back, so those would stay green all year.
Yeah, there's the boxwoods, and then there are pyramidal boxwoods that are on the sides flanking, that just give it a little more end cap.
Yeah, but I like the
Interest.
boxwoods that it's, the rest are perennials, they're gonna die off, at least you've got that green border.
That is usually the requirement. All right.
So how many of the signs or which of the signs are subject to variances? Please.
This would require zoning board of approval for essentially secondary signage for essentially
Right.
all of them because of the logo and the message and whatnot. But of course, you know, the one sign would be permitted by right, and then the additionals would trigger secondary signage. So it would have to go to the zoning board for approval.
And the one sign that's on Telegraph, that's within the size requirements and
Yes.
for the single sign? Okay, so that's fine. I see. And then the other ones, they're all replacing existing signs, are they not?
Except for the internal ones that are directing to the office,
The A through F.
and then the one that would be up by the office is a relocation. The rest are existing signs we'd be replacing.
And I think this is actually a good example of why we need the ZBA to look at things individually, because this is a larger development. This does have a lot of hills and such. that if we kept you strict to the ordinance, people would get lost.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to have, and I like that you went really simple and neutral with them, so it truly is just for wayfinder signs, and
Sure.
I think it would be sad if they didn't approve that, because people won't get lost as easily.
Right.
So do all of them need ZBA approval or just the logoed ones?
You have a logo on every one.
I'll have to.
You put that little leafy
The leaf.
logos on every single one, so they all would.
Yeah.
But I don't, I mean, again, I can't guarantee, but I
Sure.
would assume they would see value in finding ways to the offices and such.
I think it's subtle, and
Yeah.
it kind of ties the signs together, is that's your complex. I like the logo.
I think your logo's smaller than the one that was supposed to be on the other building too, so that helps. That's what I mean. We're not against logos, we're not against them. It's just that you've put it in a nice, package, so it's easier to approve. Does anyone have any questions? Or anybody ready to make a motion?
One quick
Yeah.
question. I'm just looking at the, so on Bingham Road, one side is the apartment complex, and across from that, is that the backyard of the other? No, that's the front yard of the other houses?
It is. The first house on the, across from us on Bingham has quite a bit of landscaping in the front yard.
And the only one they're really going to see is F, I guess. I'm guessing perhaps is F. The house across Bingham will see the sign, the directional arrow, perhaps this one right here. Oops.
Yes, correct, yep.
And that's single-sided, right? It's on a post, it's single-sided.
Yeah, so that one is an example. Those ones will actually be internal to the community, because that, oh no, that is leaving the community off of Deep Run to Bingham.
Right, so they come to Bingham, turn right.
Yes.
And so I'm just noticing that there's the house is here and what signs they might see.
Sure.
This is the only one they'll see of the internal signs.
Yeah, only new one that wouldn't be a replacement that they'd see.
Anyone have any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I guess I'm willing to propose a motion to approve the sign plan as proposed and forward to the ZBA for variance considerations.
Great, so we have a motion by Clerk Brooke,
Support?
support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
That does pass.
Yay,
Thank you
thank
for all
you.
your hard work on this. I
Great
appreciate
work.
it.
That's- You were the front person, so that's
Yeah,
even though
even
someone
if
else
they-
did some
yeah.
behind-the-scenes work, you had to come do it all by yourself.
If you have to take the brunt of us, you get the approvals at the end too.
Send the gold star later.
Great. Next, we have Carl's
in the
Golf
mail.
Land, and we have 1976 South Telegraph Road.
Yes, located in the B3 zone district. This is for Carl's Golf Land, as mentioned. We have a proposal to provide a roof cover over the existing tees located in this area here on the property. And it will be tied into the main building for Carl's Golf Land as well. It's 13 feet and a half inches, essentially. It will be a standing seam metal roof, existing burgundy color to match the existing burgundy out at the site. The fascia of the building will also be burgundy, and then the horizontal, the horizontal sides of the roof structure will be tan siding to match the existing on the property as well. Best to see in pictures, I think. These are this is the area that is being proposed to be covered. And again, just another shot. You can see the existing burgundy roof color, the tan siding is there as well. There will be several doors placed in the roof covering in the back, as well as gutters being installed to catch the rain. And
Are those the
runoff.
existing covered ones?
Yes.
They're, which are north of those. Got
North
it.
side.
Those are behind the building?
No, next
No,
to the
those are
building.
right on
Next.
Telegraph.
Yeah,
The
just,
ones we're proposing is behind all the buildings.
Okay.
So, Charlie Bowles, representative for the application, can answer any further questions, and as can I.
So those existing ones aren't this spot right here, right behind the building, that aren't visible from Telegraph? The existing one, isn't this the existing ones? And we're talking about putting them
Right.
here?
Yeah, we're
No.
putting them there, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There is
so-
some,
so
yeah, there
this
is
is
some
not
that's behind the building,
visible.
but the majority of it going
Like
towards
Where you, the top of the
the
page.
strip center to the left.
There you go, right
That's it,
there.
okay.
Yes.
So this is it,
Right.
okay.
Yep.
So you're just continuing that same exact
On
building
the other
down
side,
here?
yes.
With like
that
the
little
same
red
type of
line
screen?
there, that's the,
Yes.
that's these right here.
That's the red roof. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Where are
basically,
the-
you're kind of making some symmetry now to what you have on the one you'll have on the left. Okay. Is there any screening on the existing one right now? And if so, will you be matching it on the new?
It's got a fence, you can't even see it from Telegraph. It's behind the LA Fitness in the new warehouse, and there's a stockade fence.
But, so this area won't be seen at all from,
Very little, between the two buildings.
knowing the screening rules and such, is any of this going to be seen?
Well, as far as
Telegraph?
screening rules, you know,
Like
it's,
when you're putting up structure, you know how like, especially one of our members likes you to soften it, it can't be a
It's
big
got a wood,
brick.
it's got a wood privacy fence there now. It goes
Okay,
behind
so
LA
that's-
Fitness.
so it's going to be behind that.
Plus,
But with no arborvitae or anything softening it?
No. Is there an elevation from the street?
Yeah, because there's
That might
nothing,
help. Keep going.
right there, yep, right there.
I didn't see it.
Thought there was a photo.
There we go, right there.
See that, to the right, you see the brown fence?
Well,
Yep.
And there's, like you see, trees and landscaping. There's a putting green and a chipping facility there. It's all landscaped.
I don't see any of that. I don't see any of that in that picture. I don't see any of that in any of these pictures. That's why I was asking.
Just see the-
Normally, like whenever somebody proposes stuff, they either show a picture from the street so we can verify
You can't see
it.
it from the street. That's,
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, so they can verify for us.
So
This
this is the
is
fence,
where they're
and there are
talking.
some evergreens here.
Which is right here.
So
and
what's
that's
the
the
view
putt-putt,
from the street? So
and
we
this is the
won't see
fence.
it.
No.
So
Right, I
it'll-
think just
Street
to be
view isn't
sure.
going to change, it's still going to
No.
be fenced?
Perfect.
we're not doing anything. It's just, yeah.
Okay.
No landscape
Putt-putt
change.
stuff.
We're leaving all the putting green, chipping facilities.
Okay.
If you stood on Telegraph and you looked at it, there's really going to be no
Can't see it. LA
change.
Fitness
Notice
blocks it.
anything.
So here's Telegraph right here.
And you're picking the same.
Perfect.
We also don't have what you're putting in there because you're absolutely matching it to the existing. All those things still exist and you can buy the same stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this one doesn't have stone on the bottom. That's the only difference.
So we won't have.
It has siding goes all the way down.
And the
So
reason
it's
for.
just this
yeah.
beige, but it's beige. It's
Yeah,
not
oh,
like
it's,
a
big. Yeah, it's
crazy
all
color.
matching. Yeah, we can,
Yeah.
yes.
This is a really good elevation, or aerial, because you can see where Telegraph is, where Wade is showing, and then you have buildings, you have fence line, you have evergreens, and then you see that,
Okay,
that
perfect.
beige strip.
The putt-putt area.
Yeah.
It'd be nice
mean,
to have
just-
it covered so people can use it more too.
Well, that's the purpose, yes.
Yeah.
And just to the south, is there a wall there too before the parking lot?
Yes, that's a wood
That's
split
a
rail
wood fence?
fence. Yeah.
And then those must be apartment buildings there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
So the pictures of
Is
the
there- okay,
existing
that's-
coverings?
you already knew where I was going.
Is that north part by the parking lot, is that right? Mm-hmm. The ones that exist?
Yes,
That you can park in front of.
Closest to like the.
closest to the strip
The strip
center.
mall.
Yep, strip mall, yeah.
Those are already in existence, okay.
Yes.
And then the area that
Hours?
the people who live there see, they won't just see the buildings or this, they'll see, you said there's greenery blocking their view?
Pine trees and stuff.
Okay.
Great. What about hours and lighting
Same as.
as now?
Yeah, lighting's gonna stay the same because there's poles there. They'll just be mounted on the front of this awning instead of the big poles behind it.
So it's just to let people use it when it's raining or like on a day like
Not
today
for,
when
like,
it's
all night
miserable,
long.
you
It's
want to
not-
golf?
Not night golf.
Okay. So we're not like extending
Hours aren't changing,
hours.
yeah, it's still,
Excellent.
hours are all staying the same.
I used to golf in that little par 3 course. It used to be there a long time ago.
A big slide.
It was,
Big-
yeah.
You remember the big slide?
I do not remember the
There's
big
a big
slide.
slide?
Slide where LA Fitness is. Big
Oh,
slide.
my.
No, I don't remember the
How
big
long ago
slide.
was that?
Yeah.
No, wow.
Putt-putt,
Forgot
big
that
slide,
part.
and a par 3.
Movie theater,
Remember
the
that. I
par
grew up
3.
here. I would have hung out on
Yes,
the
and
big
potato
slide.
salad, yes.
I do not remember the big
Very
slide. That's
back in the
hilarious.
day.
I don't know. Maybe that was gone by the time I was golfing there. Or did they come out
It's
saying?
been gone a long time.
Yeah.
So this covering would be similar to like, I'm not a golfer, but I did Top Golf. And so they had like the covering, if you step
Yes.
too far, you fall into the netting. But,
These are on the ground, yes.
right, yours aren't,
basically like a-
because this was stacked up. But, and so that's why they had the netting. But, you know, there was the covering just enough so that you could golf
Right.
and be semi-inside.
It simulates
Yeah.
a carport, basically,
Okay.
is what it kind of
Okay.
looks like.
Heated to compete with Top Golf? Is that,
You
will
gonna
they be
heat it?
heated? or-
No,
No?
no. Casey could answer that.
Okay.
It's probably helped them, because people go and do it for fun, and then they get hooked on it, and then they gotta go to Carl's Golf Land,
There you go.
you know.
Really learn the craft.
Yeah,
learn-
well, Carl's is
learn the
closer
craft.
too for us township
Yep.
people.
So what,
Top golf
Carl's
is a
is
bit of a hike.
better.
Right.
does this go to planning commission next or ZBA or?
No, this
No. Just, this is the only stop? Well, can't leave yet. I don't have anything. Yeah, no signs, no signs.
Signage, no signage.
Signs you've noticed are
We
the
laugh,
thing.
but we've had to dial it back in like you couldn't believe
Well, I
lately.
can imagine, I can imagine.
Well,
I don't know.
So there's nothing, you know, no smoking gun, no controversy.
Isn't that funny? We're looking, we're like, this can't be possibly this easy.
Easy.
Nobody comes to us with anything this easy.
Well, you guys have
another
operated in the
unicorn.
township long enough, you know.
Yes.
You're another
Excellent.
unicorn that we love to see come by.
well, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Great. Motion by Clerk Brooke,
I will support.
support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
That does pass.
Thank you, guys. It's a great idea.
Thank you for being here, too.
I'm sure they'll
This
be
is a
busy all the time.
We hope so, this will help.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Bye-bye.
Next, do we have any recent DRBs to discuss?
We have done.
Right, then our next meeting will be on Wednesday, November 2nd, and I look for your favorite
I move we adjourn.
motion to adjourn by Clerk Brooke,
I support that.
support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass.
Awesome.
We're done.
Thanks,
It was a long
guys.
one.